or visit a Spectrum store today.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Spectrum News Plus. Local stories, connecting communities. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
I'm Sharon Tazwell. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. A federal judge is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with its plan to dismantle USAID in a decision that is likely to be appealed. Well, thousands more federal workers have been fired at multiple agencies, including the CDC, IRS, and also Homeland Security. Also on Friday, Trump's controversial pick to lead the FBI, Kash Patel, was sworn in. Outside the U.S., the president continued to criticize Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Luigi Mangione appeared in New York State Court Friday for a status hearing in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The hearing was largely procedural, with Mangione's defense asking a judge to delay a motion schedule. Well, the 26-year-old pleaded not guilty to state charges of murder, and dozens of supporters showed up outside the courtroom.
I believe that there's so many people who have been negatively affected by health care, and millions of people have lost their lives. And Luigi is fighting for those people who have lost their lives.
And Israeli authorities say they are receiving the actual remains of a body said to be that of hostage Shari Bibas. Israel vowed revenge for failing to return Shari during an exchange Thursday with other hostages. Hamas has agreed to release 6 more hostages on Saturday. And that is a look at your Spectrum News in 90.
Happy Friday to you. I'm meteorologist Philip Hensley with your weather on the ones. As we get ready to close out our work week and move into the weekend, we're almost getting a taste of spring with some nicer conditions here in the later portions of our February. Overall, we're going to be staying dry across the continental U.S. as we're going to see warm air moving in. Those temperatures are going to be on the rise. Certainly a break from that Arctic air we've been dealing with for the last week.
The Trump administration front and center, and the president continues efforts to overhaul the U.S. government, and federal judges are weighing in. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Tazwell. A judge is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with this dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID. The case is seen as one of the most significant early tests of Trump's power to reduce the federal workforce. And as our national reporter Evan Kozlov reports, the ruling comes as thousands of federal employees have been fired in recent days, and it's happening at some pretty big agencies.
Since taking office, President Donald Trump has sought to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development, calling the foreign aid that it distributes wasteful. Now, a federal judge who had previously paused the effort ruled on Friday that the president can resume cutting the agency, an effort that includes the firing of thousands of workers. The public employee unions that sued to stop the president are likely to appeal the ruling. The agency provides tens of billions of dollars in aid each year, helping countries around the world to fight hunger, prevent disease, and improve their economies. The dismantling of agencies like USAID is all part of the president's budget-slashing campaign led by billionaire Elon Musk, an effort known as DOGE.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
In Musk's effort to take a chainsaw to the government, mass layoffs have begun across the federal agencies.
I was like the first person on my team that got the email, and I just broke down into tears.
Nearly 7,000 workers at the Internal Revenue Service were laid off on Thursday. And it's not just the IRS. In the last week, we've seen more than 1,000 employees let go from the Department of Veterans Affairs.
It's something that I've dedicated my entire adult life to, and I'm just devastated.
1,000 more laid off by the National Park Service, and roughly 200 workers let go at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, known better as FEMA.
I feel like a grenade is being used when a scalpel would be appropriate.
Meanwhile, the Department of Defense has temporarily halted a plan to lay off thousands of civilian probationary employees. This pause will allow Pentagon leadership to examine whether the layoffs would affect military readiness. Reporting here in Washington, I'm Evan Kozloff, Spectrum News.
Mixed messages to Ukraine from President Trump's administration. While a top Trump aide says he had a positive meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump continues to criticize him. Trump admitted Russia attacked Kyiv, but blamed former President Joe Biden and Zelensky for not stopping the war. Our national political reporter Taylor Popolaris is in Washington with the latest as the war nears the 3-year mark.
President Donald Trump hosted governors at the White House Friday and had this to say about his ongoing negotiations with Russia and Ukraine to end their war.
I've had very good talks with Putin, and I've had not such good talks with Ukraine.
Trump also appeared on a Fox News radio show and continued his week-long criticism of Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky.
I've been watching for years, and I've been watching him negotiate with no cards. He has no cards. And you get sick of it. You just get sick of it. And I've had it.
President Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, spoke at a conservative conference on Friday and appeared to step up the pressure on Zelensky. Waltz talked up Trump's push for Ukraine to give the U.S. access to its rare earth minerals, an idea Zelensky has rejected without a guarantee by the U.S. to protect Ukraine's security.
President Zelensky is going to sign that deal. And you will see that in the very short term. And that is good for Ukraine.
All this as the president's envoy to Ukraine, retired General Keith Kellogg, was striking a different tone. He met with Zelensky in Ukraine this week and said Friday that it was a long and intense day, but extensive and positive. He also called Zelensky the embattled and courageous leader of a nation at war. Zelensky said the meeting restores hope, adding economy and security must always go hand in hand, and the details of these agreements matter. President Trump has repeatedly declined to call Vladimir Putin a dictator, but he called Zelensky that earlier this week. Trump will host the president of France and UK Prime Minister here in Washington next week. Both men are close allies of Zelensky, and Ukraine's future will likely be discussed. Reporting at the White House, Taylor Popolaris, Spectrum News.
Alleged United Healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione appeared before a New York judge Friday for his first hearing since arraignment on state charges in late December. The 26-year-old pleaded not guilty to murder charges that include an enhancement for terrorism. And our Chris Welch joins us now on the ground in New York City. Chris, can you break down what happened inside the courtroom Friday?
Yeah, Sharon, as far as court proceedings go, this one really fairly boilerplate, fairly procedural, but I do want to highlight a couple interesting nuggets. First of all, as Luigi Mangione entered the courtroom today, he was wearing a dark cable knit sweater, but on top of that was a bulletproof vest. He was also shackled at his hands and at his feet, according to his attorney. Even though I couldn't see the feet, we've been told he was shackled at both. Now, Karen Agnifilo-Friedman is his defense attorney. She began the hearing today by asking the judge if those shackles could be removed. The judge denied that request, citing, quote, security reasons. Then things moved into discussion of the discovery process. The prosecution outlined everything they've handed over the defense so far, but Mangione's defense is arguing that they haven't really gotten the bulk of what they should have so far. They say most of the paperwork from the NYPD has not been turned over them. None of the detective notes have been turned over them. And for that reason, they asked the judge not to set a schedule in this case yet, but he didn't seem to agree with that either. He set a schedule. They're going to have to file their motions, the defense motions, by April 9th. And finally, the defense is arguing for their client to be moved out of federal custody and into state custody because the state trial is going to proceed to trial before the federal one. The judge seemed a little confused why he's still in federal custody, but it seemed that they left things as is. He will remain in federal custody. I want you to listen to a little bit of what Mangione's defense attorney had to say outside court today.
He is being treated differently because of this unusual and frankly just the fact that he's being prosecuted by 3 jurisdictions for one event. It all is about one thing, one single event. So we object to that.
And so the next court hearing date the judge set for Luigi Mangione is going to be June 26th, Sharon.
All right, and we will be there. Chris Welch in New York, thanks so much.
All right, thanks.
The body believed to be a hostage Israel was promised earlier is now actually coming home. Coming up on Spectrum News, the efforts to retrieve the woman's remains.
said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Great news, Spectrum Internet customers. Now you can try Spectrum Mobile risk-free for a full year at no cost to you. It's easier than ever to switch. Bring your own device and we'll pay off your phone balance up to $500 per line. Spectrum Mobile brings you a reliable nationwide 5G network you can count on wherever you go. Plus, upgrade your phone anytime, as many times as you want, for any reason when you get Unlimited Plus. Call or visit a store near you. Our specialists are ready to help you switch.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
It is time for your weather on the ones here on Spectrum News. I am meteorologist Philip Hensley. As we look to close out our work week, getting ready to move into this weekend, we're finally going to start to have a little bit of that taste of spring with some more pleasant conditions. We've been enduring some cold temperatures here for the last several days. We're going to start to move past that a little bit with an overall pleasant weather pattern getting ready to be in place and warm air moving in. We're going to see those temperatures on the rise for the next several days. We'll take a look at future cast. You can see starting tonight, overall, the U.S. is looking rather clear, but our attention does turn to the Pacific Northwest. We're looking at moisture and some rain and storms getting ready to move into Washington and Oregon over the course of the weekend. And then looking down to the Gulf, we'll see some showers and storms developing in Texas, and these will continue to push into Louisiana over the course of Saturday and well into Sunday as well. But the rest of us looking rather clear. Now, temperatures for the eastern half of the U.S. still cold today, but we'll see that shift starting tomorrow. That cold air starts to push off to the northeast, opening the door for warm air from the southwest to be pressing in. So that's what's going to be driving those temperatures up well into next week. So we're certainly going to be looking forward to that. Overnight tonight, we're still going to be hanging on to some cold temperatures. We'll see lows all the way down below zero for Bismarck, Minneapolis, even Kansas City, St. Louis, an overnight low of 5 degrees, Dallas 20 degrees. So cool tonight, but we'll start to see improvement as we move into our Saturday. We'll see temperatures back up into the 30s and 40s, even Chicago at 34, St. Louis 39, Dallas creeping back up into the 50s, and Phoenix all the way up to 79. So we're going to continue this trend of warm air moving in Saturday, continuing Sunday into Monday. We're going to break down what the weekend and the first part of next week's going to look for you coming up in your next Weather on the Ones.
If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. The Vatican says Pope Francis is responding positively to treatment for pneumonia, but will remain in the hospital through next week. Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, appeared in court for a status hearing in New York. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state charges and faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. He has not entered a plea on federal charges. And Trump loyalist Kash Patel is sworn in as FBI director after a close Senate vote. Howard Lutnick also sworn in as Commerce Secretary. That's what you need to know. Israeli authorities are receiving a body that is believed to be the actual remains of Cherie Bibas. Hamas says it handed over Cherie's body to the Red Cross Friday. Hamas released 4 bodies on Thursday, said to be the remains of Cherie, her 2 young sons, and a 4th man. Israel confirmed none of the remains belong to Cherie and accused Hamas terrorists of violating the terms of the fragile ceasefire. The incident sparked outrage earlier from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who vowed revenge. Israel says doctors are prepared to quickly confirm the identification of the body. Hamas has agreed to release 6 more hostages Saturday. The New Jersey man accused of repeatedly stabbing author Salman Rushdie is convicted of attempted murder. The jury also found Hadi Matar guilty of assault Friday for wounding another man during the 2022 stabbing. Matar ran onto a New York lecture stage where Rushdie was about to speak and stabbed him more than a dozen times. Rushdie, who survived the encounter, was a key witness during 7 days of testimony. Matar is set to be sentenced in April and could face up to 25 years in prison. A major shakeup in the Los Angeles Fire Department less than 2 months after the most destructive wildfire in city history. Joining us now for a look at all the political buzz is Alex Cohen. Alex, LA Mayor Karen Bass announced Friday she is removing Fire Chief Kristen Crowley immediately. Why?
Well, the mayor is saying that this is because of some decisions that she said the former fire chief now made, including to say that 1,000 firefighters were no longer needed during the wee early morning hours, or the most devastating hours of these wildfires. But there's been a lot of back and forth between these two. Kristen Crowley saying that the mayor really did not give her department enough money, enough resources to properly fight this fire, saying too much of it were going to other programs like homeless services. Another little nugget here, Sharon, is the fact that the mayor was actually overseas in Africa when these wildfires erupted, was getting a lot of heat from that, and the mayor had blamed the chief, saying that she had not been significantly warned of the dangers of the fire. This decision was a bold one, really upsetting a lot of Angelenos and a lot of firefighters who today also held a press conference saying we strongly oppose this move. Kristen Crowley was very beloved by many firefighters. So this is a very tumultuous moment in LA politics.
Oh, for sure. All right, Alex, switching gears now. President Trump hosted governors from across the country Friday, and there was a heated exchange between him and Maine's Democratic Governor Janet Mills over Trump's executive order banning transgender girls from playing on girls' sports teams. What can you tell us about that?
The governor of Maine was saying no to the president. Basically, I'm not going to do what you would like me to do here when it comes to transgender athletes, saying that she was simply abiding by current state and federal law. And as we've seen, Donald Trump does not like being questioned and really seemingly threatened the governor, saying, you know, this is kind of the end of your political career. We are the federal law, was his words. I think this is one of many instances where the legal system in this country is truly being tested.
Yeah, it really is being tested. All right, Alex Cohen with all your political buzz. Thank you.
Thank you.
And here's a look at closing numbers on Wall Street, with all 3 major stock indexes ending on a low. The Dow dropped more than 700 points, marking its worst day of 2025 so far. Experts say the market fell after an economic report showed American consumers are growing fearful of price increases and how President Trump's tariffs could reignite inflation. A federal judge cancels New York City Mayor Eric Adams' trial, but corruption charges remain for now. Counsel has been appointed to advise him on how to handle the Justice Department's request to drop charges against Adams. A decision whether to grant the request to drop charges against the embattled mayor isn't expected before mid-March. Now, Adams confirms that he accepted charges could be reinstated and continues to maintain his innocence. The New York Yankees dropping a ban on facial hair. What led to the decision, plus fan reaction. That's just ahead on Spectrum News.
For the millions of school-aged children across the country, the state of their schools can have a lasting impact on their health and well-being.
The majority of school districts aren't doing comprehensive regular water quality testing.
As CO2 levels rise in a space, cognitive function takes a direct decline.
We visit 2 school districts working to create safe and healthy environments for their students.
Watch Exploring Your Health, Curing Our Classrooms. Available on the Spectrum News app.
When you know you can go anywhere because you have a connection that's built for everywhere. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Welcome back to Spectrum News. I am meteorologist Philip Hensley with your weather on the ones. To close out our work week, overall, we're looking rather calm, and that's certainly a nice change of pace from what we had last Friday, getting ready to move into the weekend. Only really 2 areas of concern right now. We're watching in the Pacific Northwest with moisture moving into Washington and Oregon. That's going to bring some showers and storms as we continue into the weekend. And then Texas in the Gulf, we'll see some moisture with rainfall moving inland into Texas and continuing to move into Louisiana as we work our way through the weekend. Otherwise, we're going to be looking pretty nice as we take a look at Futurecast, looking ahead through the rest of the night into tomorrow. You'll see those storms will continue to develop to the Pacific Northwest. A lot of that moisture coming in off the northern Pacific and then to the south coming out of the Gulf. Some of this rain will be pushing into Texas and then continue moving into Louisiana. Otherwise, along the East Coast, we're looking at a little bit of cloud cover. Could see a few flurries in the mountainous areas in the New England states. Otherwise, we're going to be rather dry and pleasant. Temperatures are going to be warming up as we work our way through the weekend. So for tomorrow, we're looking at highs. Louisville 38, New York 38, much warmer than what we have had for the last several days. Denver 53 degrees. Moving into Sunday, that warm air continues to push in. Kansas City, a high of 53, Dallas 61, even Orlando 74 degrees. Continuing to Monday, you notice the trend that warm air really settling in. Phoenix at 86, even Minneapolis 46 degrees. Much warmer than what we have been having and warmer than what we would seasonably expect for this time of year, with the exception of Florida. Tampa coming in just a little bit on the cool side. Now into the next 6 to 10 days, looking ahead to get the month of March started, we're going to notice the western portion of the U.S. well above our average highs, while the eastern half staying just about average, with again the exception of Florida staying a little bit on the cool side. Now taking a look at what we can expect moving Monday into the first part of next week, we're going to continue tracking a little bit of rain in the north central portion of the U.S. This is going to move through the Chicagoland area Tuesday and then push off to the East Coast, while Wednesday continuing into Thursday, we'll be watching a low pressure center that will be moving from Minneapolis down through the Ohio Valley, bringing some rain showers for folks there that will continue into the second half of next week.
The New York Yankees have dropped a decades-long ban on facial hair for their players and staff. Spectrum News anchor Robert Guadarrama is here. And Robert, this move is getting a lot of attention. Why?
Sharon, the Yankees have had a long-standing reputation of having the strictest appearance policy in Major League Baseball. It's been the talk of the league at times, but the times are changing and team leadership is listening. Yankees owner Hal Steinbrenner made the announcement Friday. His late father, George Steinbrenner, implemented the policy back in 1976, mandating no long hair or beards, only mustaches. The late Steinbrenner was a military veteran and believed the team should not only be, but look disciplined. As facial hair has become more common, the current owner says he's had lots of conversations with players as well as those outside the sport and has learned a lot about the issue in today's culture.
It is a part of who these younger men are. It's a part of their character. It's a part of their persona. Do I totally relate to that? It's difficult for me. I'm an older guy who's never had a beard in his life. But it's a very important thing to them, and they feel it defines their character.
Moving forward, the Yankees will allow well-groomed beards. Sharon, it's a move team management hopes will improve player recruitment, as the vast majority of Major League Baseball teams have very relaxed appearance policies.
This is very interesting. I had no idea this was even a thing.
Right.
But how are fans reacting to this now?
Most fans are in support of this change. We stopped by a New York City barbershop to see what they are saying. Check it out.
You know, well shaped up and groomed, it should be okay. It shouldn't be a problem.
It doesn't really matter because it's just a beard, and beards don't really help baseball players play better or play worse if they have beards or not.
I couldn't have said it better.
Smart kid, yeah.
Right. Whether or not the policy actually attracts better players, we'll see. But one thing for sure, the lineup will probably look a little different next season.
Well, I'm curious to see now who's going to have the beard.
Right, absolutely.
All right, Robert.
Maybe me.
Yeah, maybe you. All right, Robert Guadarrama, thanks.
You bet.
Canada's victory over the U.S. in the championship game of the Four Nations face-off set single-game hockey betting records Thursday night. Officials at BetMGM Sportsbook say the match was the most bet on hockey game ever. Well, Caesars Sportsbook says the game placed second on its records behind the Florida Panthers' win over the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup last year. Canada beat Team USA 3-2 in overtime to win the first ever Four Nations face-off hockey tournament. I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for watching. Your Spectrum News at Night is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
Friday nights, The Big Deal with Errol Lewis, where Spectrum News' local political journalists break down the most important issues shaping our nation.
Our journey into
towards improving mental health doesn't always present a clear path. Every Thursday on Your Mental Health, we listen to voices across our communities, discussing the challenges of everyday life and presenting accessible resources to guide us along the path to our well-being, providing hope and empowering choices that light the way to a healthier you.
Your Mental Health with Dr. Nicole Clark, Thursdays on Spectrum News Plus, available on all your favorite devices.
The future is here with Spectrum Mobile and the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with Galaxy AI. Do more than ever before by handling multiple tasks with a single ask through Google Gemini. And start the day smarter with Now Brief, insights that keep you ahead. Power it all with the fastest wireless speeds from Spectrum Mobile. Order the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with Galaxy AI from Spectrum and get $700 off with trade-in. And now Spectrum Internet customers can try Spectrum Mobile risk-free for a full year at no cost.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app. Spectrum News Plus. Local stories, connecting communities. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.